You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's The Amazing Race After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's The Amazing Race After Show.
Yes. Bring it up. Bring up the volume. Yeah, bring up the volume. Let's get pumped. Let's get pumped. Because Bing is for doing, and right now we are doing The Amazing Race. So let's hear that music. Yes. Hi, welcome back. I'm your host, Nando Velasquez, and joining me, as usual, right across from me, first of all, is James.
Hello, I'm James Wallington.
And
I am Jessica Carroll.
Awesome. And we are here to do this week's episode, which is called The Ultimate Funhouse. It's episode 9, season 22. Thanks a lot for joining in. So we're so happy to have you here. It was a really fun episode. What do you guys think? That was a really fun episode.
It was a great episode. Besides all the African episodes, I loved when they went to Africa. But this was by far probably one of my favorite episodes this season.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to be diving. I wanted to dive with them down.
That looked pretty damn cool. Yeah, based on the clips they showed last week when they were showing Megan doing it, I had no idea still, but that looked really, really awesome.
It did.
So awesome.
Yeah.
And their facial expressions, too.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's get right into this 9th leg of The Amazing Race. So we started out from the last leg when we lost Team Bama in Switzerland.
So sad, the hair.
They
I
lost
missed it. Can you imagine that hair when they were base jumping in this episode? I would have paid to have seen that.
You know, that would have been actually really good now that you mentioned that.
That would have been good.
Oh, man. Couldn't we just bring him along and just extra footage?
Just for that.
Just for that. No, I guess not. But anyway, so we were in Switzerland, and the teams now got to go to Dresden, Germany by train, and then end up flying out to actually they took a train to get to a plane to Dresden, Germany. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the team order, there's only 5 teams left. Five teams left, and it's Bates and Anthony, who won 3 in a row, and they were starting out the leg, followed by roller derby moms, Mona and Beth, then Max and Katie, the newlyweds. We had our country singers, Caroline and Jennifer, and then Team YouTube taking up the rear, Joey and Megan.
They were determined to step it up this episode.
They were determined to step it up.
They made it clear.
Yes.
I like them because they seem like when they do come to the bottom of the pack, they're like, okay, we really have to step it up, otherwise we will go home. So it seems like every time they've been in the bottom of the pack this whole season, they're really able to turn it up.
Oh, yeah.
But why can't they just keep that as a momentum every episode?
Yeah. Well, you know, consistency, I think it's all about momentum.
Yeah.
And and then once you get that momentum, just keeping it. So they've been on a little bit of a bad streak.
Well, once you get to the bottom, it's like, okay, we got to step it up. We're not bottom people.
Right.
And don't forget, I think, if I remember correctly, a couple of people here predicted they would be out this episode, too.
You know what? But I did say it was going to be a non-elimination, did I not? But again, with the whole momentum, too, even Josh, you know, our special guest last week, said when he was on his show, he was always at the bottom of the pack, but, you know, at the end of the day, the last leg is all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
As long as you're still in it, you're in it.
That's true. And I think, the Beekman boys definitely, if one team can exude that, they can, coming from the back of the pack to winning it all. So, absolutely. So, one item of note, while they were all sleeping in the train, with their cute little eye masks on, I don't know if that's Amazing Race regulation or what, but I was amazed at how many people, or maybe the train actually.
They got a swag bag when they boarded the train.
Oh, right.
That's true.
You never know.
Slippers, too. You know, sometimes they get slippers.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm from New York City, so anytime I'm in a public place and you're telling me to cover my eyes with some object, and I have material possessions on me, I'm going to either like strap them to my leg and make sure that I go everywhere they go, or I'm just going to keep one eye up.
But here's the thing. They had a whole cart to themselves. I'm really floored that nobody, out of everybody in this train, they all happened to be sleeping at this moment that his backpack got stolen.
Yeah.
Nobody saw it happen.
Not only that, he's like the biggest guy there. Like if I was a thief and I saw a bunch of backpacks, exactly, I'd go for somebody who I thought I could fight if worse came to worse and beat in a race. But
and another reason why it didn't make sense to me is because there's a whole camera crew in this like train car. How the heck would someone get in there and be like, well, there's cameras, I'm going to steal it? You know, I think if I was going to steal something, I wouldn't want to do it in front of a camera.
That's a really good point, actually.
So what happened to his backpack?
Maybe he just forgot it. Like
maybe
didn't even make it on the train.
Maybe it's possible he didn't, but you know what? I would think that if I was a producer on the show, I would look at all the footage and see exactly where he lost it.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean,
and then make a note of it.
Yeah,
exactly. Like whenever they lose something, you know, the camera crews are always on top of it, and they'll like shoot the extra gear that gets left behind.
Because I'm curious to know what gear is actually in the backpack at the end of the day. I feel like it's filled with things that they need in order to complete a leg.
Well,
efficiently.
I guess it's clothes and underwear. That's the way he was talking about it.
Yeah, he was like so nonchalant. Like, well, I got my passport.
Yeah.
You know, I'm lighter now. I can run faster.
But you know, smart. Good thing that Bates kept his passport on him.
Definitely.
That's really smart because I think a lot of people instinctively when they travel, they don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that seems to be a common, you know, theme on every
Well, that happened last season.
Someone always ends up losing it or misplacing it, and it's part of like the story of that episode.
Yeah.
Is what happened to the passport.
Well, that happened with the Rockers. Remember, the Rockers had that big problem where they got stuff stolen too, and that really affected their momentum. They were in the top of the pack for a while, and then they lost a backpack, and they were, well, you know what, they were really forgetful that whole season anyway. They kept forgetting things, not forgetful like forgot who they were, but they just kept messing things up, if I remember correctly. They lost money too. So,
although I did love how Bates was still able to use this, oh, I lost my backpack, into some kind of flirting method, because the girls were, Caroline, I think, or Jennifer was like, well, I have girl panties you can wear.
They had a lot of fun. But, well, you know, when you're a guy, you want to look cool. You're like, yeah, I lost my backpack. No big deal. It's all good, you know? So I'm
and the
sure.
The girls are like, ooh, well, my panties.
I'd be curious to know what the relationship status is between the four of them now that the race is done filming. I would love to know if they are really as close, if one of them is dating another person, if one moved to be with one of them. Who knows? I would love to know what's going on.
I'm sure that'll probably come out once the season's over, I'm hoping, because it is really curious. They definitely seem to be, they you know, they made an effort this episode to show them several times talking about the competition and the fact that at the end of the day, they're still racing against each other, so they're not super tight. And there were some times where they split up, or you kind of thought that one was going to help the other, and they didn't.
Which was funny because this whole time, I was waiting for them to say that, and all of a sudden now, you know, there are 5 teams left. They're gonna be like, well, you know what? At the end of the day, it's really about us.
Yeah.
I wish I had that momentum and that, you know, frame of mind the entire time.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens with that. But anyway, so Bates loses his backpack, but I guess it's no big deal. It's all good. I'm lighter. I'm 45 pounds lighter now. Yeah. So yeah,
15
I can do
body
15,
weight.
Yeah, 15 body weight, and I still
you know,
bench press
like
200. And I still bench press 200. So I'm good.
Still the biggest man in the race.
Right.
Totally. So anyway, so all the teams pretty much arrived together into Germany. They're on the same flight, and they're supposed to run over to the Ministry of Finance, and they have to choose an all-new Ford Fusion with voice recognition and fuel injection and all these awesome little, you know, pluggable features that you like to plug on a TV show.
And I just have to add a little note that today is actually Earth Day, and this car is very eco-friendly.
Cool.
With the EcoBoost engine and the great mileage.
Jessica, are you hoping someone from Ford is listening?
So go green, everyone. Go green. Recycle. Get the Fusion car.
You know, while we're talking about plugs, let me just segue into another plug while we're talking about plugs, since Ford doesn't really pay our bills. Ford doesn't really pay our bills, but you know what, AfterBuzz, this is what we're about here. So if you're listening to us here on AfterBuzz on iTunes, thank you very much. We love doing this show for you, and please show your support by rating us, subscribing to us if you haven't. Rate us, give us 5 stars. We love 5 stars. Comment, we'd love to read your comments. You know, we're also on YouTube. This stuff gets streamed live, and maybe a lot of you during the week, you know, you'll tune into YouTube and you'll watch and you'll comment, which is great. But guess what? Guess what?
What?
As of right now, you could, if you're listening to us live, which is Monday, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern approximately, you can go on your iPhone or your iPad, go to AfterBuzzTV.com and watch our show live. OMG! OMG! Our producer, Stephen Lemieux. OMG! So, yes, we are doing all these extra little additions here. So, please show your support and give us some ratings. Let our bosses, let Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro and Phil Seatek know how much you appreciate it by rating us. So, that would be great. And also check out our other shows. We have many, many other ones here. Too many for me to list. So, anyway. So the teams pretty much get to Berlin, or they get to Germany, and it's Max and Katie in the lead, followed closely behind by Joey and Megan. They're committed to getting up front, and then country singers, Bates and Anthony, and Roll Derby Moms at the end. So these teams had to get in their car, and before they could even start the car, they had to answer a couple of questions about their next destination. What do you guys think of what do you think of their brain cells there on this stuff? Huh?
Well, I was very impressed with Max and Katie because they seemed like they didn't have any struggle whatsoever.
No,
they made it look super
politics was like,
easy.
check the box.
Yeah, and then he of course made some snide remarks about how I'm so Republican and blah 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 blah.
I hated that.
And then what I loved about Joey, Megan, Caroline, and Jennifer is they were just hysterical. They really had no clue, and they're like, I think this sounds
maybe
correct.
the Great Wall of China.
Oh God, they said that. They did say that.
Oh man. I mean, I'm Canadian, and I even knew more than that.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad you said that because I was feeling like I was really feeling old saying, I know the answer to these questions. I was alive back then. And yeah, I can't remember that specifically.
And
but
the best was Max when he's like, yeah, Ronald Reagan's, he's my bro. Like,
oh God, my favorite president.
Yeah, I'm a cigar chomping guy. Okay.
Gosh, he nauseates me.
If he wasn't lovable enough already,
right.
Then he is not anymore. No, not at all. Anyway, so the three teams, they answered the questions, which was about Ronald Reagan doing the speech for the fall of the Berlin Wall and telling Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down the wall. So, and they find out that they're supposed to drive from Dresden, Germany to Berlin and go to one of the gates over at the Berlin Wall where the historic speech was done.
Right.
So all the teams go over there. They drive 100 miles. And, of course, Team Puck and Pucker, as I like to call them, country singers and hockey guys, they kind of team up together. And then promptly the guys end up losing. The girls by accident. But
it was by accident.
It would have been funny if it wasn't, though. I was waiting for them to be like, I got them. That would have been more entertaining.
Yeah. But yeah, so they end up getting lost and they end up going in the rear at the end. But all the teams end up going to the rooftop of this hotel, Park-In Hotel, to do what was probably one of the most awesome things.
Oh.
I want to do it. I'm not.
Sign me up.
I will never bungee jump. I don't think I will ever bungee jump, but I think I would do that, even though that looks definitely scary.
I wouldn't know. I mean, I would have a really hard time doing it. Like, my reaction would have been Joey's reaction, just not as extreme.
Yeah.
But definitely.
Really?
Oh, Joey's reaction.
Okay. I just get more scared at I get scared at the recoil more than anything. But when you see those bungee jumpers, but I feel like if you're just the scariest thing will be just being held up there at first, and then once you go down, it looks awesome, just like a carnival ride.
Yeah, I agree. I would totally do this because the part of bungee jumping that scares me is being attached to like one rope and just boing.
Yeah. And then it snaps. And
and then your neck snaps.
Yeah, but I would totally do this. I thought that was awesome, and seeing their reflection or their faces as they did it was priceless.
That was
it was hilarious.
That was
we
awesome.
should have taken screenshots of the TV.
Oh, yeah, that would have been cool.
We should have done that.
Some other time. But, one note as the teams were, I guess, finding their the clue box to go up to the rooftop, one note that I thought was really, really interesting, and I guess we'll talk about it at the end of the episode too, is the Derby Moms actually helped Bates and Anthony.
They did.
They told them where the clue box was, which I thought was really interesting because I feel like in previous episodes we've seen the Derby Moms not give an inch when it comes to helping any other team.
Yeah.
Well, especially when they're not in the alliance. They were never a part of the original alliance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, they'll help out.
Surprised by that.
Yeah, they'll help out YouTube from time to time, but not directly like that.
Right.
Right.
And I thought that was the most, and they were like, well, I hope that we don't pay for that later. So,
My favorite part of this whole little base jump thing was Katie's reaction versus Max's reaction. Katie is just like this angel falling from heaven. She's just smiling. Her hair is just flowing in the wind. She's loving every second, completely fearless. And I was like, you go, girl. And then Max gets up there, and his noise is like, sounding like a dying ox. I was like, what is your problem? Your wife is showing you up on national television. He was a little wuss.
We should have recorded it. We should actually have their...
should have.
Darn it.
Max was one of the top for sure.
Yeah, that's something to remember for next time. Yeah. But anyway, so pretty much since the teams had to go in order that they showed up.
I guess that just shows that girl power.
The girls are more, girls can take it more?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Well,
we're risk takers.
I guess so.
Megan's like, I'm an adrenaline junkie, and she loved it. And Joy's all like,
no, you're right.
I'm telling you, girls dominate.
Well, Bates and Anthony did a good job with it.
Of course.
Okay,
There's no girl on their team.
They're the hockey players.
Wow, yeah. So, there are more girls than guys now, actually, now that I think about it. I didn't realize that if you add them all up. So, so the girl power, definitely girl power toward the end of this season. It's been amazing. So anyway, they all pretty much had to go in orders. Nobody could really jump ahead of anybody else. So the order pretty much stuck with Max and Katie in the lead, followed by Joey and Megan. The roller derby moms, Mona and Beth, Bates and Anthony, and because Caroline and Jennifer got lost, they took up the rear. So anyway, the next step that they got to go to afterwards was the Detour, and they had a choice of 2 places, as all detours usually do, of course. One of them was called Train Trials, and the other one was called Font Follies. Font. I thought it was fun at first, and then I realized, no, it's Font. Train Trials was, they went to go to the Deutschestic Museum. I believe I said that right. I wrote it phonetically.
I didn't put that in my notes.
I wrote it.
One ear out the other.
Deutschestic Museum, which is a museum that shows a lot of transportation, I guess a lot of planes and a lot of trains, like one of the largest, I guess, in Europe, I believe they said. And they got to find a conductor and lay down some train track within the borders of an assigned area. They couldn't go past these borders. And they had to assemble their train and have the train just like a little kid just playing trains and just have them go around the track one full time without falling off. For Font Follies, the teams got to go to this location, this street vendor selling, I think they called him a street vendor, selling just these large letters that blink.
Neon letters
that you would probably only use like in the electric company or something like that, or some kids show when they're teaching letters and they have kids lying on them or something. Exactly. And they got to transport these for an undetermined amount of space or place. It could be a mile for all we knew. And they got to do it to this other museum called the
And it was like through the city.
Yeah, through the city to the Buchstaben Museum, which is, I guess, a museum of letters. Museum of letters. That's what I wrote there. So anyway, so pretty much every team, except for Joey and Megan, decided to go for Font Follies.
What would you have done?
I honestly think Font Follies sounded kind of more interesting to me. Also, I feel like, we got to see the visuals.
Yeah.
Not seeing the visuals, I still think that assembling a train track within an assigned area, it sounds like there's a catch. So I think I would have gone for the straight transport.
Me too. Totally, I would have done the Font because train and like anything to do with like Legos or assembling is just not my shtick.
No.
So I would have done the Font Follies.
You'd rather base jump, yeah.
I would have done the train.
You would have done the train?
Yeah, because growing up, I was very all hands on, like Connects, Legos, loved putting the trains together, and exactly what Joey said, it's like Christmas morning. I would have felt the same way, and I'm very spatial, so I think it would have been easy for me to be able to calculate how to, set up the tracks.
I will say they both look like fun.
Oh,
totally. They both look fun, but I think for time, I feel I would have gone for the letters probably. But still, it was really interesting seeing these teams having to pick. I never realized how much thought it would take to pick a letter to transport across a city.
Oh, right.
I know.
I loved their thought process though, because I would want a letter that would be easy to wrap around my body to hold properly.
Yeah,
right.
like the
I thought that was smart.
The O was smart. Yeah.
Max is all like.
Or like the A when you could like put your arm through the little hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was it Caroline or Jennifer? One of them had the S, and they were like, "I'm regretting this S." Yeah. I remember saying, "I'm regretting this S." She's holding like a gun or something, like she's running with it. So, but I thought it was pretty damn cool. I thought, talk about tripping later on in the episode. I'd be tripping if I saw teams running with blinking lights.
I know.
So that
like,
would be
okay.
Well, I was actually.
Don't see that every day.
Right. I was floored though that of all the teams that did that part of the Detour, Bates, it was Anthony that dropped his. Of all the people.
Well, he left his up.
And it fell over.
And it fell over because of the wind, they said.
But, like, seriously, of all the teams, I would expect that from Caroline and Jennifer. No offense, but...
And actually, it surprised me, too. Max and Katie were doing so well with that, too. I mean, she was just carrying it, and he was doing... They did great on that Detour.
I guess they had first choice of letters, maybe. I mean, the letter that fell was... and that was Anthony's, was a V.
That's
I
hard.
don't know if you could... I don't know how they propped it up, but that even sounded weird or something. I don't know if I would have propped it up the way they did, too. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, so let's talk about Font Follies, I guess, since most of the teams did that. They seem to get a little lost. It was interesting that the museum's in a mall, which I think made it a little bit harder for them to locate. But yeah, I mean, Anthony left his V open somewhat and left his V up and his V fell down promptly and his V was showing, so
oh my God.
Yes.
And it cracked.
And it cracked. Everyone else pretty much got there, but Bates and Anthony decided to switch off. And
boy, did they make the wrong decision switching up.
Yeah. Well, again, I say it every time. You cannot change the momentum. Detour, no.
Yeah.
I wonder if, because it sounded like you had to keep your letter till the end, so I wonder if there was a little bit of a worry.
Well, they probably could have just gone back and got a new letter.
That's the impression I was under.
Yeah.
That they would have to go back.
Okay, that's what I thought too, but I was wondering if the wording was just slightly different because it sounded like, you know, you had to stick with your letter till the end. They specifically said you can't go back and change your letter.
Sure. Oh, good point.
So
maybe they had no other choice at that point.
Maybe.
They were kind of DQ because maybe there was no other V.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Because maybe it was literally the whole alphabet, and there was not duplicate.
And now they like really know, like, oh, you know, they could go back and like strategically pick the right letter now.
Yeah.
So maybe that would be like a benefit. I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, so they ended up going over to train trials, which we saw Joey and Megan, and of course Joey having fun, like he
Christmas
has fun
morning.
with everything.
That voice he does.
Everything, as long as there's no
good,
scorpion.
actually.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
yeah. Christmas morning.
Not so good.
Not so good. I gotta work on it.
I'm not even gonna try.
So anyway, Joey having tons of fun like he always does, as long as there's no scorpion in train, he's fine.
Exactly.
And Megan, they did the train track thing very slowly, but to make sure they had a couple of accidents there, a tree in the way. I'm surprised they put trees so close to the track. I would have just put the trees anyplace else. I don't know why.
I saw that. I was like, really?
Both
Come
teams
on.
did that. Yeah, I was amazed at that. But anyway, Joey and Megan did fairly well. They ended up being in third place overall. So I guess it wasn't a terrible choice. They didn't lose too much from doing that, even though that was a more I don't want to, it was just a more detail-oriented task as opposed to the Font Follies. And then Bates and Anthony go, and they had like nine
attempts.
9 failed attempts. Train's just falling apart. Thank God they don't like, it's not Unstoppable with Denzel Washington. Like they don't have that job because
no.
that would have been horrible. Yes.
Yes.
And again, during physical tasks, they're great. When it comes to the more little intricate stuff,
with all the patience and the little things.
I think they knew they were in last place too, so they were rushed.
Oh, totally.
They were rushing it.
A little bit more frantic with their hands, probably.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, anyway, so the teams pretty much are done, and it's Max and Katie in first place, Mona and Beth in second. And then Joey and Megan doing the train trials are in third place. Carolyn and Jennifer got in fourth because of Bates and Anthony screw up. So, again, they seem to be flip-flopping. And they got to all drive themselves to the Salon Zweden Renat. I'm saying that wrong.
I mean, it sounds right to me.
Okay, cool. And that's good. We're German.
I didn't even pay attention.
We're German.
Sure,
I give you credit for even saying it.
I write this stuff down. It's a bar that I guess has a nightclub in the back. Salon.
That's what I would say. Bar with nightclub.
Bar with nightclub. And they go into this bar and they have to search for the entrance. And I didn't even write this part because couldn't even understand that one. I'm like, I'm not even trying phonetically. And they had to search for this entrance to the nightclub. So, and then of course Mona and Beth get incredibly lost, which is great for Bates and Anthony.
Yeah.
Because it gives them a chance to catch up. And all the teams, when they get there, they get to do a roadblock. And the roadblock is to search this really trippy labyrinth And the name of the show, The Ultimate Funhouse, says it all. To find the White Room and get a clue from there.
Yeah.
Oh, and they also had to answer another question about Berlin.
Oh, right.
Before they could even enter.
Before they could even enter. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of that Labyrinth?
I want to go to Berlin just to do this.
Yes.
It looked incredible.
Me
and
too.
again, I don't know who said it. I think it was Katie maybe. But the whole point of like it being Legends of the Hidden Temple, I was like, yes, that is what I lived for when I was a kid. And it just looked like so much fun. It looked like there were so many different options to go. I mean, it seemed like they could go different ways, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like they were given choices of which direction they wanted to go.
I would think for Labyrinth, yeah.
Yeah, so I was really excited about it, and I would have loved doing it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Well, I would have loved it too. I've always loved the haunted houses where you're like going through the mazes.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. That would have been so cool. Who was it was like freaking out?
Katie was freaking out.
Well, I liked what Katie said because she said someone's going to get hurt because if they jump out, I'm just going to punch them.
Yes.
And that's funny because that's the normal human reaction. If something jumps out, you're going to be like, oh, God. Oh, sorry. Okay.
I thought Joey would be scared. I thought if Joey did this, which he ended up doing it for the team, I thought he would be scared, but he was loving it too.
Oh, yeah. He really enjoyed
Ultimate
it.
fun house.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious as to that thing, but if it was a task, I don't know if I'd want to go in there because I get a little claustrophobic. And they described,
some of them seemed really tiny.
They described it as claustrophobic. I'm a fairly big guy, a little broad-shouldered, so like there was a museum in St. Louis, I can't remember the name of it, where they had a little labyrinth, and there were a couple of tight spots that would freak me out. It was like a similar type of labyrinth, but so I don't think personally I would do well. But I'd do it. If I had to do it, I'd do it. But it was so much fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Katie went for Max and Katie. Joey went. I can never tell Caroline and Jennifer apart. So one of them went. Beth,
one of the blondes.
I know. Beth went, and for Mona and Beth, and then Anthony took it for the Hockey brothers, and Mona and Beth and Bates and Anthony once again working together. Really, really weird and interesting. You know.
I mean, I get it to some extent. But when you know you're literally fighting for last place, take your chances.
Yeah.
Because as we saw when they were racing to the finish line, the pit stop,
the boys.
Mona and Beth were like, we practically led them here. This sucks.
Yeah.
Well, that's your own fault.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was strategy on their part too, but still really amazing seeing. I applaud them for at least trying to work together. But yes, at the end of the day, you're racing separate from them. And they were also, Mona and Beth were also complaining earlier. They were saying earlier in reference to Carroll and Jennifer that they can't believe they're in alliance with the strongest team there because it's better to try and knock them out than to stick with them. And then here they are helping them out themselves. So I thought that was a really, really interesting little twist between them. So, but I just
think Anthony and Bates are so likable.
They definitely are.
You know, they're not as like out to get anyone, or they're not as, I don't know. There's just something about them that you just.
Yeah, I lost my backpack. It's no big deal. It's kind of like that. Yeah.
Like a little puppy dog.
And I like because at the beginning of the season there were so many teams that I feel like Bates and Anthony were never really at the forefront as far as like getting much airtime. So now that there's not that many teams, I'm really enjoying them more because they have more to say and they're actually being shown. And I mean, I don't think they have the brightest and biggest personalities as some teams, but I definitely do enjoy them because of their optimistic enthusiasm when things don't go their way.
Right.
Well, I think I predicted at least once that I thought they would be eliminated early because I felt while they're strong, I didn't think they had the other skills or talents to succeed. And one thing, the longer you're on this race, the more experience you get.
Right.
And the more you learn. So momentum really has been their forte.
Yeah.
And being first place the last 3 legs has given them also confidence.
Totally.
So that's obviously helped. But but this leg they had a couple of problems. Obviously, the letter being the big one most likely. And we get to the pit stop, which is at Kurfürstendamm. I wrote it too.
Yes.
The 5th Avenue of Berlin. I'm going to be learning German after this podcast. That's what you guys know. I'm going to take a German class. And I want to go now. Anyway, so Kurfürstendamm. And Max and Katie got in first place. I think that was their first time they've gotten in first place. And they were so psyched because I guess they really wanted those Ford Fusions. They even predicted it. They predicted it would be the prize. So they get their cars. And so they're in first, followed by Joey and Megan. So Joey and Megan, yay, they are back.
Thrilled.
Yeah.
Yes. I was too. I was so happy for them. Just because they said at the very beginning, we're not last place people. Let's step it up. And they did.
No, they totally did.
Yeah.
They worked it, and they did a good job, and they were consistent.
Yeah.
And they had no issues at all. And that train follies thing, well, like I said, I thought that might be a problem, but no, they did really good with it. So
I also think if you have fun with it and you stay positive, like, the race is going to treat you well. Like, if you treat the race well, it'll treat you well. I mean, that's just maybe my mentality on the whole thing.
I also think that when they think in their heads, like, oh, shoot, we're close to the last spot, I think they really psych themselves out.
Oh, definitely.
So if they are, like, just say, we're going to have fun, we're doing well, let's just keep going, their minds clear up and they just really perform.
Yeah, no, I can agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the positive attitude really has a lot to do with it because you start stressing other people out when you're all negative.
I mean, even Bates and Anthony, when they knew that they had to do this train and they were in the last spot, it took them 9 attempts. Where if they just calm down and let I mean, it's hard to do, but if you just like let your nerves and your anxiety get out, you might, perform a little bit better.
Well, again, that doesn't seem like their forte. So I think they kept a cool head. It just seemed like the editing showed just all these different takes. But I think they were having some fun. There comes a point where you're just like, what the hell? Just
get it done.
Get it done. Just get it over with.
Yeah.
But you got to appreciate actually, a lot of the teams, all the teams have had pretty good attitudes on this season. Max and Katie were kind of looking like the villains. And yeah, they have their moments where it's just like, oh God, you can't help but roll your eyes maybe. But they've had a pretty decent attitude. They've been a very light version of a villain.
Yeah.
Very light.
Yes.
Carroll and Jennifer, they've been a lot of fun. They've been stepping it up the past couple of weeks, and now they're finally saying, the guys are cute. Maybe we'll date them after the season, but we're still racing them. So
I think I would have liked them much more from the beginning if that was their mentality and approach to the race from the very beginning. Now it seems like wow, we're actually farther than. I mean, I don't think they really expected to be. Still in the race, to be quite honest with you. Last night was the first time I saw this competitive side in them where they're like, wow.
You have a chance.
Oh, I thought you were growing on. I thought they were growing on you the past couple
No, that's
weeks.
what I'm saying. Like, I wish I would have seen this, though, because I really enjoyed them last night.
Okay. Yeah.
I did, because I liked this competitive side. That's what I want to see.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always liked them.
And then I feel like this is a first. You rarely see two teams fighting for last place that get on the mat together.
Yeah.
So, and I don't recall ever seeing someone being eliminated with someone else on the mat on a foot race.
Just yesterday. Oh, no,
yeah.
It wasn't a foot race, though. I mean, last episode wasn't a foot race.
It wasn't a foot race. No, yeah, exactly.
But I get what you're saying.
But you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes there's a penalty. So then they're on the mat, but you never see two teams that they know they're in last place running to the mat, and what was one person beating somebody up by like just a few seconds, and then the other person getting.
Hard to see.
That would be probably the ultimate nightmare, knowing that you were just inches away, and if you just
ran a little faster.
That would haunt me for sure.
Yeah, right.
I would probably take up track.
I'd have PTSD and I might have to be hospitalized.
But again, it was. I don't know if it was really great strategy with Bates and Anthony. Because first I guess they didn't know that Mona and Beth got lost before. So at first when they said let's just follow them, I was thinking that might not be the smartest move either. But I guess it did pay off. They knew they'd beat them in a foot race, so just stick on their tail.
Yeah.
So I can understand that.
I would have been curious to know how well they would have done had they not followed Mona and Beth. Like if they really just relied on themselves, I think they would have been eliminated. I don't think Mona and Beth would have been last. I mean, I think Bates and Anthony would have been last.
Yeah.
Had they not followed Mona and Beth.
I think you might be right. Because it didn't seem like they were just paying attention to direction, so it really would have been a matter of what to find. And one thing about being lost, as much as it sucks, and they were lost for a long time earlier, they probably got to learn a lot more of the lay of the land.
Yeah, good point.
While they were lost, so it's almost like you're looking at the map and you're like, oh, we were there before when we were lost.
Right. Yeah.
So they can just go right back to that spot.
Yeah.
So
one benefit of getting lost, I guess.
One benefit of getting lost, as long as you're still in the race, is you probably know a lot more about the city than you're supposed to.
Yes.
Right. I'm just glad they weren't eliminated because they've actually been one of my top favorites from the very beginning, and I just see so much good in them. And if there was an all-female team to really win this, I think they could.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I think in the beginning of the season when we were talking about teams, and I remember I specifically was saying we don't really have a Globetrotter type team or a Chippendales type team that everyone loves no matter what, that everyone gets along. Bates and Anthony have kind of turned into that a little because they just have a good attitude, but they don't have that kitsch factor that like Globetrotters, for example, would have, or Chippendales, or Clowns, or I don't know, one of those little niche.
I think it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
'Cause their personalities are nowhere near the Chippendales or the Globetrotters. They're memorable.
But I thought that the Derby Moms would be that kind of group, because I thought it was a really interesting niche.
I know
that they would be, and they've been very, very like competitive, but very like stern.
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah.
And this was the first episode we got to see at least a little bit more with them interacting. The fact that they helped Bates and Anthony, even though I know they were probably cursing themselves because they lost in a foot race.
in the long run, yeah.
That probably would even hurt more if they got eliminated. The fact that they helped them not once, but twice they worked together. Yeah. But other than that, I thought it was a really good show of their personality. So I kind of like that.
They're moms.
They're moms.
I love moms.
And they're Derby moms.
And they're tough. They're tough ass moms.
Yeah.
So,
I liked it, but I am happy that Bates and Anthony are still in, because now we can just continue the flirting. I just love all the flirting.
She likes the flirting. You don't like it as much.
Not as
I just find
much.
it humorous. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think, yes, definitely it's funny. But I think the competitive side of me is like, that's not the right show.
Yeah.
Go on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I mean, you see it on Survivor and Big Brother, the showman's is developed. So I just feel like there's no time for that in The Amazing Race.
Would the alliance make more sense to you if they weren't flirting?
I mean, yeah, but no, because I feel like at the end of the day, your only alliance that's going to really help you is your partner.
Okay. No, that's true. I'm just curious because our comments from our special guest last week, you know, we were talking about alliance, and obviously he had an alliance in there too, and that helped motivate him. Totally. Motivate them, the team, to winning. So it's interesting, again, how Amazing Race has turned more into a little bit like a Survivor, Big Brother type where they feel like they want to put more emphasis on alliances.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely in the previews for next week, that seems to be the forefront of what the drama is going to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I guess, you know, we're going pretty fast on this one, but let's just get into it, I guess. Because we pretty much.
We covered it.
We covered everything. Yeah. So let's just get into some more predictions here, and let's talk about options that we have.
Ooh.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Spooky, just like the Funhouse. Like this is the music that should be.
Can we turn off all the lights and just have these lights going on?
Get all trippy. This should be the soundtrack to the Labyrinth. So anyway, who wants to go first for prediction?
Predictions. You go.
Okay.
Take it away.
Well, obviously, since last night was a non-elimination, there will be no non-elimination next week based on how many more episodes they have.
Good prediction there.
Don't think that's going to happen. However, it depends on what happens with the double U-turn, because again, in the preview, it showed the Derby Moms and Joey and Megan teaming up again, and then it showed Bates and Anthony and Caroline and Jennifer teaming up again. So it depends, and based on what you see in the preview, it seems like Joey and Megan and the Derby Moms have a lead over everybody else, because like 3 hours, what can we do at this time? Whoa, ha, ha, ha. And they're like celebrating. So based on the editing that I saw in those 30 seconds, I'm going to say that I think Caroline and Jennifer may be eliminated.
Okay.
I think their alliance might work to their disadvantage next episode.
Okay, good. What do you got for us, Jessica?
I, sadly enough, have to agree with you. I don't want them to go, but I think Caroline and Jennifer, we might be saying goodbye to them.
I actually want to make another comment about this preview. They never, from what I remember, I don't think they ever even showed Max and Katie in those 30 seconds. So I don't know if that's foreshadowing, but what if Max and Katie are the ones to be eliminated?
That'd be interesting. That would
Actually,
be.
I'm going to change my thought.
Because now I'm thinking they could be eliminated.
I think because they were the only ones that didn't have an alliance.
Yeah, and it may be like, well, since we don't know who else to U-turn, let's U-turn Max and Katie. Like when Pam and Winnie U-turned Joey and Megan on a whim for no reason.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, let's just do it, blah, blah. Oh, no, when Joey and Megan U-turned Chuck and Winona is what I'm referring to.
Yes.
Maybe that might happen again this episode where they're like, oh, well, everyone's ahead of us. Why don't we just U-turn Max and Katie? So if it had to come down, I'd say Max and Katie or Caroline and Jennifer.
Okay.
I'm going with Max and Katie, just because I can't put my girls in the bottom.
I'm going to be very different because I feel that just the fact that the Derby Moms kept talking about how strong Bates and Anthony are and the fact that why are people working together with them, that I feel the same thing as you, that both YouTube and Derby Moms seem to have a lead on somebody or on other people the way they're so excited. But I think they're going to be gunning, well, they're going to, they're going to use up both W turns. That's my prediction. And I would say that Bates and Anthony is going to be their #1 target. So I'm going to say Bates and Anthony. That's what that's going to be my prediction.
Yeah.
All right, you're Bates and Anthony. You are Country Girls.
Wow. So we're splitting
But see, I also want to say Max and Katie. I'm a little torn between both of them. If I had to choose, I would say Max and Katie.
Max and Katie, you're saying
I'm Max and Katie.
You're Max and Katie. Oh, so both of you, Max and Katie. Me. I'm Anthony and Bates. Bates and Anthony. Okay. All right. We'll see who's right.
All right.
Let's put some money down.
Maybe Caroline and Jennifer, just to say it.
Just for the hell of it. But we both agree YouTube and Derby Moms.
I think they're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
They're in.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. So, hey, James, where can we find you?
Well, if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter at James Wallington, WALLINGTON, and on Instagram at MR James Wally.
And you can find me on Twitter at Sika Carroll, SICACARROLL, and the same thing for Instagram.
And you can find me on the Twitter as well. You can find me at Nando Vel. That's NANDOVEL. I believe that's also my Instagram one. I got to start putting pictures on there. I know you put a Coachella one.
Instagram.
I'm on it. I just never promote it.
I love Instagram.
Instagram's great.
obsessed.
Oh my God.
Sometimes picking the filters actually gives me a little anxiety.
Oh, totally.
We're just promoting the hell out of everything today. It's just amazing. Speaking of promoting, I also do a couple of AfterBuzz shows too, as well as Jessica and James.
This is my only one right now.
Right now, but you know,
this summer, hopefully.
we're doing more.
I think
we're
Big
doing
Brother.
more. But anyway, tune in next week because we still have some amazing race to do with you. Thank you very much for tuning in.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.